Okay, the story is The Old Woman in the Wood. Many, many years ago in Germany, there was a servant girl. A servant girl is like a helper, like a home helper or maid, or servant is like somebody who comes to your house and clean your house, wash your dishes and clean, wash your laundry, somebody who helps the housewife, okay? So there was a servant girl, and she was a young servant girl. Now this girl was one time traveling with her master and mistress and other people in a carriage. She was traveling through the woods, through the forest. Long time ago, when they traveled, they sometimes walked, but they also traveled in the carriage. Carriage is like a big wagon, and you sit in the wagon, and somebody rides on the, somebody pulls the, the horse pulls the wagon. Somebody sits behind the horse and direct the horse to go this way and that way, and the horse pulls the carriage. Anyway, so this servant girl was traveling with the master and mistress and a few other people, and in the wagon or in the carriage there was a treasure box in the wagon, and so they were traveling through the dark forest in Germany. And then suddenly robbers came out. Robbers, remember, robber is like a bank robber, bad people who come to a bank and they want to steal the money. So they are bank robbers, but this time it's not. They are not bank robbers. They're just robbers. The robbers came and they began to kill everybody. They kill. Murder means to kill. They murdered everybody except this girl. Except means they did not kill this girl. They killed everybody else but this girl. So they killed everybody except this girl. She was hiding in the carriage, and then after the robbers took the treasure box and left, after the robbers went away with the booty. Booty means the thing that they steal. This time it's a treasure box. But after the robbers left, went away with the booty, the girl jumped out of the carriage. She jumped out of the carriage, and she looked, and she saw the disaster. Disaster is a sad scenery. Many people were dead, the horse was dead, and everything was broken, and so she saw the disaster, and she didn't know what to do. She began to weep. She began to cry bitterly. Bitterly means sadly, painfully. Bitter chocolate, sweet chocolate, milk chocolate, and bitter chocolate. Bitter means, when you eat something, bitter. So she began to cry bitterly, and she didn't know what to do. She said, "A girl like me, certainly I will starve to death." Certainly means for sure. Certainly, for sure, I will starve in this forest. Starve means die because you're hungry, because there is no food, you don't have anything to eat, so you become hungry and hungrier, and then you die. That's starving. So she said, "I will certainly starve in this forest, and I will die." And she began to sit down under a tree, and she cried. And then she didn't know what to do. Then, suddenly, a white bird came. It was a white dove. Dove is a name of a kind of a bird. It's not let's say, when you go to, like in Japan, when you go to stations, platform, like in Fujidara platform, station platform, there are, sometimes you see gray bird that comes to the platform, and they say, "Do not feed these birds." That's gray dove, okay? But in this story, a white dove came. A white dove is a symbol of peace, really. But anyway, white dove came, and this dove had a golden key in its mouth. In its mouth, he had a golden key. And he came and he dropped the golden key into her hands. And she looked at it and she said, "What is this?" And then, strangely, the white dove spoke. The white dove said, "Are you hungry?" And so she says, "Oh yes, I'm very hungry." And then the white dove says, "Look there, look at that tree. Go to that tree, and there is a keyhole in that tree. You put this key into the keyhole and unlock it." And so the girl said, "Okay," and she went to the big tree and she looked for a keyhole, and there was a little keyhole. So she put this key into this keyhole and she turned it, and guess what? The tree opened, and inside the tree she found milk and bread. So she drank this milk and she broke the white bread into different pieces, and she ate the bread, and she was satisfied. And then soon the nighttime came and she said, "Oh, I wish I could go to bed in a sweet, nice bed." And then the same white dove came again, and he had another key in his beak. Beak means, the mouth. He had another key in his beak, and he dropped it into her hands, and he said, "Do you see a big tree over there?" And she says, "Yes." "And go to that tree and open it." And so she took this key and went to this another tree, and she looked for the keyhole, and she put the key into the keyhole, and she turned it, and guess what? The tree opened again. And there inside the tree, there was a beautiful white bed. And so she went into the bed, but she did say thank you, and she said a prayer to God, and she went to sleep. The next morning, the bird came back again, and the bird said, "I'll give you another key." He had another key in its beak, and he dropped it into her hand, and he said, "Do you see a different tree over there?" And she said, "Yes." "Go to that tree and open it." And so she went to this the third tree and opened it, and then there the tree opened again, and there inside she found beautiful dresses with jewels and gold, all of the very, very beautiful dresses. And so she said, "Thank you." And there she lived very happily. She had a tree that gave her food. She had another tree where she could go to sleep, and she had one more tree that gave her beautiful dresses. So she lived there quite comfortably and happily in the woods, in the forest for a while. And then one day, the same white dove came back, and he said, "Will you do something for me? I helped you. Will you do something for me this time?" So the girl said, "Oh, of course, with all my heart." With all my heart means, of course, certainly. Yes, I will do it for you. What do you want me to do? The bird said, there is a small house in the forest. In the distance, there is a small house in the woods, and there in the house, an old woman lives there. I want you to go to that house, and I want you to go into the house. And then the old woman would be sitting in the small chair by the fire, and she would say, "Hello, who are you?" But do not answer. Don't say a word to this woman. Go to that house, and when she says, "Don't go in," do not worry about it. Just ignore that woman. Just go into the house, and there is a room, so you just open the door and go to that room. Go into that room. When you go into that room, there is a table, and on the table, there are many, many rings. There are many rings with beautiful jewels, like a diamond ring and ruby ring and a sapphire ring. But don't care about those. Don't touch those. You can touch them, but don't care. Don't worry about those rings. Just look for a plain ring. Plain means simple. Simple, just a ring. And I want you to bring that ring back to me as quick as you can. Quickly, I want you to go to that house and get that ring and bring it back to me. So the girl said, of course, oh, okay, I will do it for you. So she went to this house, and she went in, she opened the door, and she went into the house. And then the old woman was sitting by the fire, and she said, good afternoon, who are you? But the girl didn't say anything. She was silent. She didn't say anything. She was silent. And she just went into the house. And then the old woman said, what are you doing in my house? This is my house. And she seized the woman, seized the girl. Seize means grab. She seized the girl, and she wanted to pull the girl back. But the girl shook the woman off, and she went into the room, and she went to the table, and she looked, and there were diamond ring and ruby ring and a sapphire, but she could not find a plain ring. And she thought, strange, where is this plain ring? And she looked at the old woman, and then the old woman was running away from the house with a bird cage. She was stealing a bird cage away. She was stealing away. So the girl ran after the old woman, and the girl took the bird cage from the woman, and she raised the bird cage up to see what's inside. And then there in the cage, she saw a bird, and the bird had a plain gold ring in its bill. Bill is like a beak, the same thing. In its bill, he had a gold ring. So quickly she picked the gold ring and pulled it out, and she said goodbye, and she ran. She didn't say goodbye, I'm sorry. She was not supposed to say a thing, so she didn't say anything. She just ran out of the house and went back to the forest, to the tree. And she thought, where is the bird? Where is the white dove? Where is he coming to pick up this ring? And she waited and waited, but the bird didn't come. And so she thought, that's strange. He said, come back as quick as you can. And I brought this ring back, but the bird doesn't come to pick up this ring. It's very, very strange. And then so she sat down. She sat down under a tree, and she leaned against the tree. She leaned against the tree, and she waited. But then, strange, the tree was not hard. The tree, when she leaned against the tree was very soft. And this tree had branches, 2 branches, you know, branch? There were 2 branches, but these branches came down and twined around her, and she looked at the branches, and then these were not branches anymore. These were 2 arms, and 2 arms? And so she turned around, she looked around, and there it was not a tree anymore. It was a handsome young man standing behind her. Ah! He said, thank you very much for bringing the red ring. I am a king's son. That woman was the witch. She cast a spell on me. Abracadabra. She cast a spell on me, and that's why I was a tree. But now you brought the ring back. You freed me from the power of the wicked witch. And when he was speaking, all the trees changed their forms. They became different men, soldiers and king's brothers and things like that, and the horses and the carriage. Everything was freed from the enchantment. Enchantment means magic. Everything was freed from the magic. And then he said, let's go to my kingdom. And so he put this servant girl onto his horse, and he went back to the kingdom, and he married her, and they lived happily ever after. The end.